Disclaimer: none of the characters, songs including intro, artworks including thumbnail, in the video are mine. This video is not an accurate portrayal of the characters. This is also not intended as a defamation of character either. Please note that what I write does not reflect my views and opinions. Just because I write it, does not necessarily mean I agree with it. This is all only for the purpose of entertainment. Warning: foul language, typographical errors, grammar mistakes, badly made joke, sexual innuendos. Sorry for the long wait. I would like to say that I have a good excuse, except the only one I have is that my laziness and procrastination attacked again. On to the video.
Sakusa woke up with something tickling his nose. He opened his eyes to find his face buried in disheveled blonde hair. He remembered what happened last night and couldn't contain his smile as he once again buried his face on Atsumu's hair, nuzzling it. He laid there for a few minutes just smiling stupidly as he inhaled Atsumu's scent and listened to his breathing. He removed himself from the bed slowly when he felt his stomach rumble. He put on a shirt, admired Atsumu's features for a few minutes, tracing his nose, eyes, cheeks, lips, before pressing a small kiss to his forehead, then exited the room to go prepare a late breakfast. He entered the kitchen and saw Osamu having coffee on the countertop. He internally groaned and greeted Osamu with a slight nod before ignoring him completely to prepare breakfast. Rude. He knows, but he's absolutely happy right now and he won't let Osamu ruin it. Sakusa. He let out a small sigh as he responded. Yes, Osamu. The silence stretched for a few seconds and Sakusa blinked in confusion. Just when he thought Osamu wasn't going to continue, he was proven wrong. We both know my opinions about your relationship with Tsumu. Sakusa grimaced.
Oh shit, here we go again.
That being said, I'm not gonna interfere. Sakusa blinked. I don't like you for Atsumu yet, not as you are now, but I do have to acknowledge that you do love him. Sakusa just stood there, still blinking in confusion. I don't think it's the right time for you both to be together. I'd like to say that I still haven't forgiven you for how you treated Atsumu before. I know you have your reasons as to why you did those. I don't know what those reasons are, and frankly, I don't care, and I doubt you'd tell me anyway. But again, I'm not blind to your efforts in gaining forgiveness. And whether or not I forgive you doesn't really matter, does it? It's not up for me to decide anyway. I could go on a whole tirade about how I'm just concerned for my brother, but Atsumu's an adult and he's completely capable of making his own decisions. I could say I have more rights to be concerned because he's a bottom. Sakusa could practically hear the grimace in Osamu's voice at the word, but he thinks it's less of about the position but more because he's uncomfortable thinking of his brother in any sexual position in any way. LMAO, can I get an F for Osamu? But that would be like thinking less of Suna for being on the receiving end. So no, I don't approve of your relationship. Not entirely, not yet, but I won't try and interfere. Silence filled the air after Osamu's dialogue and Sakusa thought that was it. He didn't really reply as he didn't know what to even reply. Both still had their back turned to each other, but Sakusa heard the scraping of a chair as Osamu stood up. He also felt the heavy tap in his shoulder before hearing footsteps slowly fade away, but not before hearing a murmured, "You're both broken people. I just hope your jagged pieces don't end up piercing each other and hurt you both." Osamu stopped and tilted his head to look at the sky. Did I make the right decision? He had half a mind to drag Sakusa out of the house and sacrifice him to Kita for human fertilizer before shaking his head. Again, that decision isn't yours to make. He sighed and continued walking to Suna's house so he could sleep, literally, with his boyfriend. Sakusa was standing in the kitchen, still confused by the one-sided conversation. Did he just give his approval? He shook his head. Nah, he just said he won't interfere anymore. Well, good enough for me. He proceeded to make breakfast, then after, he put it on a tray and took it to Atsumu's room. He placed the tray on Atsumu's nightstand, then admired sleeping Atsumu for a few moments before waking him up. He caught sight of the various bruises and bite marks that littered Atsumu's body and he looked away in guilt before shaking it off. Atsumu liked it. You didn't hurt him. You didn't. He kneeled down on the side of Atsumu's bed before caressing his face, coaxing him awake. Hey Atsu, wake up love. Atsumu slowly blinked awake. Omi, he whispered in a hoarse voice. Hey, how you feeling? Atsumu groaned. Saw. Sakusa's smile widened. Yes, you were very good this past few hours, weren't you, baby? Atsumu blushed, covering his face. Omi, he whined, embarrassed while Sakusa chuckled. Haha, come on baby, look at me. No. Sakusa kept poking Atsumu's hands that were still covering his face. Come on, look at me. No. Sakusa chuckled. Please Achu. Sakusa's voice went down an octave and Atsumu shivered, spreading his fingers apart to see Sakusa without removing his hands from his face. Atsumu's breath stuttered at the look of absolute love that was on Sakusa's face. It wouldn't be an exaggeration to say that he looks like the world's happiest man. Atsumu blushed harder and he closed his fingers again. You look stupid, Omi. Sakusa let out a breathless laugh before pulling Atsumu's hands away from his face. He laughed at how red Atsumu's face was. Atsumu turned his head to the side, not looking at Sakusa. Sakusa cupped Atsumu's cheek, the one that's pressed on the pillow. He leaned in closer and Atsumu had no choice but to look him in the eyes. Sakusa's amused gaze softened. They both let their eyes speak of how much they love each other before Sakusa vocalized it.
愛してる.
Atsumu swallowed, then said the word Sakusa's been wanting to hear since their courtship started. I know, Omi. Sakusa and Atsumu are still on the bed, watching volleyball matches on Atsumu's phone. Sakusa was leaning on the headboard while Atsumu was leaning on him. Sakusa embraced Atsumu tighter, making him look up to see the concerned look in Sakusa's face. Omi, you okay? Oh, yes I am. You sure? Yes Why'd you kiss me yesterday? If you were planning on ending it, why'd you kiss me? Oh, I just thought that if was going to lose you anyway, I would milk my last day with you for all it's worth. I wanted my last moment with you to be beautiful even if it was painful. I was planning on having sex with you then, but you said you loved me and it hurt me to hear those words knowing it was a lie. Achu, I love you. Truly. I know that now. I'm sorry for hurting you, for leaving you on the dance floor that night and for kissing you and walking away. It's okay, Achu. I forgive you. I'm sorry for treating you like a piece of shit before. Omi, I've already forgiven you for that for a while now. I know, but I still regret it. The two spent a few minutes just discussing their insecurities regarding their relationship, slowly fixing it. I was wondering, do you think we should tell Osamu about my past? Atsumu blinked. What brought this on? Is Samu giving you a hard time still? I don't think it's right for me not to get along with your brother, and I thought that maybe telling him my past would make him understand the situation more. Atsumu contemplated for a moment before answering. Do you want to tell him? Sakusa sucked in a breath. No, honestly, the idea of telling someone he doesn't trust his past makes him wanna puke. But if it's for Atsumu, the Sakusa would gladly do it. He was able to share it with his therapist, who's a complete stranger. Telling Osamu would be easier. Probably. Then you don't have to tell him. But, Omi, you don't owe anyone an explanation. You're more than just your past and you're already moving on, healing from it. You don't have to explain yourself to anyone in hopes that they'd understand you. Besides, Samu's a big boy. Whether or not he likes you, won't change the fact that I love you, and if he has anything to say against it, well, he just has to deal with it. Sakusa laughed and pulled Atsumu in for a kiss. God, you're beautiful. Atsumu smiled cheekily. I know. And just Atsumu would be fine. Sakusa's eyebrows furrowed in confusion. What? Atsumu's smile widened into a playful grin. No need to call me God, Omi. Realization hit him like a brick. Oh. Atsumu laughed. Oh damn you. Sakusa said with a smile, then proceeded to tackle Atsumu on the bed, then tickled him until they were both breathless. When lunch came, they both went downstairs to eat, then proceeded to occupy the couch and watch TV. I'm bored, Omi. Well, what do you want me to do? I dunno. A mischievous smile formed in Atsumu's face and he bat his eyelashes at Sakusa. Fuck me. Sakusa cursed, then pulled Atsumu into his lap, burying his face on his neck. As much as I would like to do that, your brother is only just accepting our relationship. I don't think him walking in on us would do anything but push him over the edge and kill me finally. Atsumu's grin widened. Wow, Omi, so naughty. I didn't say we were going to do it in the living room. Sakusa blushed. Well, you didn't clarify. Atsumu laughed. You're right. As much as I want to traumatize Samu, I'm still sore from last night. Sakusa nuzzled Atsumu's neck in guilt. It's fine, Omi. I really liked it. Atsumu blushed but didn't look away this time. They both stared into each other's eyes as Sakusa searched for any sort of lie in Atsumu's words. When he found none, he relaxed. Sakusa tightened his grip on Atsumu to acknowledge that he believes him, and Atsumu's smile softened. I'm still bored though. Do you like dogs? Atsumu raised an eyebrow at the question that came out of nowhere. Yes, great. Sakusa stood up, taking Atsumu with him. Go take a shower and pack some clothes. You're spending the new year with me. Atsumu huffed. Yes, yes. So bossy, Omi. Sakusa buried his face on his palms, trying to hide the blush that formed on his face. The words themselves seem normal, but the way Atsumu said it, well, I'll leave that to your imagination. Atsumu smirked. Join me. Sakusa sighed, hiding his excitement at the idea, and stood up, carrying Atsumu to the bathroom like a princess. Whoa, so many puppies. Atsumu ran to the middle of the dog-filled field and just collapsed, trying to fit as many dogs as he can in his arms. Sakusa laughed and followed after Atsumu. Omi, what is this place? Is this heaven? Sakusa laughed, feeling giddy at the joy in Atsumu's everything. This is a cafe my mother owns. The said cafe is in the middle of a giant field. The main building is in the middle of the field. Really? Yeah. She likes dogs a lot and thought that Japan has many cat cafes but no dog cafes. She's been collecting strays and dogs about to be put down, taking them to a vet and taking them here, where they have lots of ground to run around in and they can even interact with other dogs as well as the people that comes to eat here. They've been trained too, of course, so they don't try and jump people or steal food from them. Your mother is a goddess. Sakusa smiled. She is. It's closed for New Year now though, so we have the place all to ourselves. The place was obviously closed but the workers welcomed them in. The caretakers lived in the cafe to take care of all the dogs and make sure they can run erraud in the field and go back to the building at night. Can I adopt one, Omi? Yeah. Oh. How much? It's free. Atsumu blinked in surprise. Wait, really? Yeah. Mum wanted them to have homes, so she allows people to take them for free, although she also makes sure that their homes would be safe for them. Seriously, your mother is perfect. Sakusa sat down beside Atsumu and hugged him. You're perfect, Achu. Omi, stop. Atsumu playfully pushed Sakusa away as he blushed. So who will you take? Just then, a dog came near them, saw them hugging, then wagged its tail in excitement before jumping on them, sending them both to lie on the grass as it stayed on their chests. Looking at both of them, well, looks like a choice had been made. What's his name? They don't really have official names, so people who would take them can name them. Atsumu squealed before squeezing the dog, who was still wagging its tail in delight. Atsumu looked up from where he's hugging the dog when he heard the sound of a camera. Omi, did you take a picture? Yes. Send it to me please. Sakusa sent the picture and Atsumu proceeded to type in his phone. What are you doing? Atsumu smiled innocently. Nothing. Did you just get a dog? What the fuck, Tsumu? We can't take care of a dog. And where are you? It's New Year. We're supposed to go celebrate with Auntie. No. Auntie's a bitch. And yes, I'm getting a dog. Isn't he cute? I named him Sakumu. Dots. Did you just name a dog after me and Sakusa? Monkey covering eyes. Tsumu. Love you baby bro, face blowing a kiss. Atsumu pocketed his phone and sat himself between Sakusa's legs. Sakumu in between his legs. Where are we going, Omi? The sun is starting to set and they are both walking through the woods near the cafe since it was located in mountains. Going only Sakusa knows where. Well, I wanted to spend New Year with you and doing it in my apartment just didn't seem enough, so here we are. Don't worry about Sakumu. I made some arrangements to make him comfortable in the cabin and I also made sure someone was to cheer for him until we return. Okay. Sakusa led Atsumu by the hand to where a hot air balloon was floating. Atsumu gasped. Omi. Come on. Do you know how to fly this? Yes actually. So don't worry Achu. I'll take care of you. They flew for a few minutes, just admiring the view and making small talk before Sakusa lowered the ride on an open field, a different one from where the dogs were. They hovered over the tall grass. Atsumu turned back to Sakusa questioning why they aren't going down and what they were doing there. Watch this Achu. Sakusa picked up the anchor and dropped it on the grass. Atsumu watched awed as fireflies started flying out of the grass, the night illuminated further by their lights. With the starry sky above, and the fireflies below, it felt like they were surrounded by stars and it was beautiful. Still, Sakusa watched Atsumu, mesmerized at how beautiful Atsumu was in the light, at how beautiful he looked when happy. Atsumu. Atsumu slowly took his eyes from the view. Yes, Omi? He asked breathless, still not over the beautiful sight. Would you give me a second chance at being your boyfriend again? Atsumu stared at the blushing form of his love, completely forgetting the sight he was so marveled at earlier. He went closer to Sakusa and kissed him on the lips. They both let go a few minutes later for air and they stood there, foreheads pressed together. Their breaths mingled as they pant for air. Then Atsumu pulled away with the biggest smile on his face. Of course, Omi. Osamu walked towards where Kita was sitting alone. Kita-san. Osamu. They both sat in silence, just watching everybody interact, especially Sakuatsu. It was Oikoa's farewell party and they all decided to have another meetup since they wouldn't all be present to see Oikoa off and this was the only day everybody was free. I'm sorry. Kita looked at Osamu. What for? For pushing you towards Tsumu. I knew there was something between you and Tsumu before and I thought that maybe if he falls in love with you again, he might forget about Sakusa. Kita hummed. Osamu, what happened between Atsumu and I or lack thereof has nothing to do with Sakusa. I just wasn't worth it. No you. I didn't mean it as an offense or a self-depreciating comment so let me explain. Osamu shut his mouth and listened. Atsumu loves Sakusa. Whether or not you think Sakusa deserves it has no bearing on that. Atsumu decided that Sakusa is worth it. All the pain and the tears. He decided that Sakusa is worth all of it the same way he decided I wasn't. The same way I decided he wasn't. What? Kita smiled at Osamu's confusion. You think I'm still in love with Atsumu, don't you? Osamu hesitated. Well, aren't you? No. True. Atsumu and I liked each other back then but it never got to the point of love or at least I don't think it did. I was going to college in less than a year, and I was captain of the team. There would be a conflict of interest and I decided he wasn't worth it. I liked what we had already and I didn't want to risk it for more. I don't know what Atsumu's reasons are but he also decided that I wasn't worth it. Why do you think neither of us made a move? But, at Okinawa, you said you were in love with someone and you described Atsumu. Kita's smile widened a bit. So you were listening. Osamu realized his mistake too late. Well, not much. Just until the part you started describing Tsumu. I wasn't describing Atsumu. I guess they are a bit similar but only on the surface. Really? Can I know who? His name is Terashima. Like Atsumu. He's also bottle blonde. He also really likes to flirt and being the center of attention. Kita-san, you have a type. Kita chortled. He reminded me a lot of Atsumu. I guess that's why I approached him the first time and why we got along so well. Your mother instincts must have been going haywire. Yeah, haha, probably. But that's as far as their similarity goes really. Atsumu is genuinely confident and can be a jerk since he really doesn't care much about what other people says about him and I admire that a lot. Osamu nodded. He also really likes that about his brother and sometimes wish he can just brush off other people's opinions about him as easily as Atsumu does. Terashima though, built that image to hide something far more precious. He's really intelligent, you know. That's why he was able to go to college early. He's the same age as you are. Really? Yeah. He tested out of high school not because he was eager to go to college but because he was following someone. Is that the person he's in love with? Yeah. Kita whispered. The silence stretched between them, then Osamu spoke again. What made him different from Tsumu? I get that most of their similarities are only on the surface but Tsumu can be really caring too, especially for people who matter to him. And you're one of those people. The mystery, I think. The mystery? I said their similarities are oddly on the surface but I think it's more accurate to say that Terashima's is only a mask. Really? How? Well, first, Terashima-kun's flirty jerk facade was something taught to him, I think. At first glance, he's like the shining example of toxic masculinity but then he turns around and shows quality of someone extremely intelligent, which is evident by the fact that he finished high school early. He seems like someone who couldn't care less but is apparently a very charming leader. He seems lackadaisical, but the fact that he's in college now, not because he wanted to but because the one he loves is there, shows how determined he could be. Then there's how he treats Misaki, shows just how loving and caring he is. Osamu couldn't stop listening, not only because he was truly invested in the story but because he's never heard Kita speak this long and with so much emotion too. He just looks so happy talking about whoever the fuck Hiroshima is. There's also the fact that despite his talents, his abilities, I don't know where he'll be in the future. What do you mean? Atsumu is. I know where he'll be in the future. I have no doubt about that. And it's amazing and gives me great pride to see him reach his dreams, but it's only really a matter of time, you know. Hiroshima though, doesn't seem to have figured out where his life will be. He doesn't really have dreams, or maybe he does but buried it underneath tons of false bravado and a skewed definition of cool. And it may be selfish of me, but I want to dig that up to the surface. I want to be a part of his life and see where he goes. It doesn't matter if it's beside him or just a bystander watching it all unfold. The point is, I want to see. He doesn't know what he's capable of yet, and I want to be the one who makes him see. Osamu was rendered speechless at how passionate Kita sounded. There's this fire in his eyes that he normally only sees on Atsumu when he's absorbed in playing. It's the kind of fire that you can't help but watch, as it's just so bright and mesmerizing. So he asked more. How'd you fall in love with him? I felt pity for him at first. He's in love with his high school volleyball manager, but she doesn't love him. She's also in a toxic relationship, and whenever she's hurt, she goes to him for comfort, and he would always be there for her. He doesn't even hope that she would like him back. He just wanted to be with her. I thought it was stupid. Then I started doing the same. After he comforts her, he comes to me gushing about her, sometimes seeking comfort too, and I realized I loved him. Then seeing him started to hurt, but I didn't stop. I couldn't stop because he was worth it. The pain of knowing that the one you live doesn't love you back. It was worth suffering it. Worth having it rubbed in my face if it meant I would be there for him. It's a weird feeling, you know, loving someone so much that even when all you receive is pain, you can't help but still be thankful that at least they are by your side. Osamu's side. You're stupid, you know, you and Tsumu. Why endure so much for one person when you could just be together? Sometimes, on the days the pain is worse, I wonder what if Atsumu and I took a step towards each other. But the thing is, I couldn't imagine us being together. Unrequited love is painful, and I can't help but wish to be in a loving relationship too, but I wanted him more. I can't see myself being in a relationship worth fighting for if that relationship isn't with him. So no, I don't think either Atsumu or I would be happy together. You don't know that. Maybe you would have fallen for each other eventually. You never know. You already liked each other. You just needed more time. Atsumu met Sakusa at training camp. That lasted what? 1 week? Then they just talked to each other through phone. And he fell hard. I've only been in college for a few months. And I fell hard too. I've known Atsumu for 2 years and we only ever liked each other. Don't you think that if we ever were meant to be, we would have fallen for each other a long time ago already? Instead we both fell for people we knew for only a fraction of the time we knew each other. So yes, Osamu, I do know that Atsumu and I would never have been happy with each other. Osamu's side. Defeated. He knows Kita's right. It's not like he's totally against Sakusa and Atsumu's relationship. He knows they both love each other. It's just, he knows they both are completely healed yet and they might end up hurting each other. I still don't like it. Don't like what? Sakusa and Atsumu together. I don't think it's time for them to be together yet. They aren't fully healed yet. You're scared they're just going to end up hurting each other? Osamu nodded. I understand your concern, but I don't think their broken pieces would end up piercing each other. I think their pieces fit perfectly like a puzzle to complete them. Osamu stopped and they both studied Sakusa and Atsumu. One thing that was glaringly obvious was how happy they are together. Their issues mostly stemmed from the distance Sakusa put between them, and they both suffered from it. I think that what they need is not to heal apart but to heal together. Keeping them apart now would just make their doubts bigger since they wouldn't be able to remove them and their issues will just fester. And when the time comes that they meet each other again, all those piled up stress would all pop out again and it might be too late to fix it at that point. They studied the couple again and Osamu's side. I didn't think about that. Kita chuckled lightly. If it turns out that I'm wrong and they do end up hurting each other, well, you'll be there for Atsumu, right? Always. Kita smiled and patted him on the back. I'll be going now, Osamu. I still have a lot of things to do. Bye, Kita-san. Osamu watched as Kita said his goodbyes to Ikoa and others before turning his eyes back to where Sakusa was wiping food away from Atsumu's face. I don't think you're wrong, Kita-san. He sighed again, releasing all his worries and just trusting both his brother and Sakusa. Bitch really said I don't want a dog. Cats are better. Tsumu, we can't take care of a dog. Tsumu, return the dog. Tsumu, like bitch, no. You return my dog, bitch. Stop fucking stealing Sakumu at every opportunity. At Osamu, this bitch is you. Return Sakumu to me, bitch. Water pistol. Like, I know my son is cute as hell, but go adopt your own. Nah. Sakumu just told me he's disowning you. I'm disowning you. Are you always like this? I thought that with how protective Osamu is, you'd be the sibling goals kind of twins, but number. You two fight thrice every hour. You get used to it. These two will kill someone for each other 1 minute, then proceed to kill each other the next. Also, Osamu might seem protective, but you haven't seen Atsumu's overprotectiveness regarding Osamu yet. Let me tell you, it's fucking terrifying.
Explanation. This is mostly for those who agreed with Osamu that Sakuatsu needed to heal apart. To elaborate on Kita's statement, Osumu's issue is that his confidence took a blow due to Sakusa's treatment of him, causing Atsumu to think he's not worthy of love. If they took a long break now, that thought would never leave. Even if Atsumu meets someone, the niggling thought that he's not worthy would still be there. And if in the future, they get back together again, that dark thought would be louder. Like, what's making me worthy now? What if that still isn't enough? And Asumu's reaction would either be more clingy or be detached. Either way, that relationship would be toxic. For Sakusa, his issue mostly stems from the fact that he's scared to be like his dad. And if they took a long break now, that thought would probably be cemented in his mind because he actually destroyed his relationship by being a dick. And any relationship he might have in the future, including with Atsumu, he would be the submissive one, always trying to please his partner, and that's not exactly healthy. And when they continue their relationship, their roles might reverse. Of course, this is all according to my story if I went that route anyway. I'm not an expert in psychology, so I don't really know what would happen in real life. As I said, this is all for entertainment. It's not meant to be educational or something. Anyway, hope you enjoyed